I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
This seat taken. Ryan, do you have to keep... I really felt like you had cracked the opening code before all this playfulness that's injected.
Do you think that the podcast is too playful? People like playfulness.
I just think people like predictability. You know, they like knowing every Tuesday morning they wake up at 4 a.m.
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's downloaded right in their phone.
And we've been up all night recording.
Oh, exactly. And then, they put some coffee on. They have a good 3 hours before their morning commute into work where they can listen to the episode a couple times.
And typically our episodes are not even 3 hours. They could probably...
Well, that's why they listen to them 3 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Unlike
last week's episode, which was, what did that clock in at about 2.5 hours? You really love talking about Mexico City.
Well, I told people they can actually just listen to it while they're en route to Mexico City. It'll last them from when they leave their house and when they get to their hotel. It's sort of onboarding for Mexico City.
Now, Ryan, if you're going on a trip to Mexico City or to anywhere, what is it that you need?
A plane ticket. No, a ticket.
So you do need a ticket, but that's not what we're talking about today.
No.
What we're talking about today is luggage. We are talking about what kind of suitcase you need ideally. And you and I both have pretty strong opinions on what makes the perfect suitcase.
Yeah, and like usual, I think my opinion, I'm more dead on. I think the people are going to agree with me. They're going to say Ryan really knows his suitcases.
I mean, for what it's worth, that's not the feedback that I'm often hearing around the podcast. It's not, oh, Ryan seems so knowledgeable and so good at Spanish. And he knows how to pronounce every word. In English or in Spanish. And hey, say geyser.
Geyser.
And so today we are having the Luggage Throwdown, where we're going to each talk about our ideal suitcase. We're going to compare, contrast, and debate. But before we jump into that, there was some big national park news that I would like to talk about for just a second.
And this is not shutdown related.
No, the shutdown, now that the shutdown's over, the shit just magically disappeared. All the Joshua trees have grown back, and, the parks have never been better. But what's interesting is, right, when you drive into a national park, you know those big iconic signs that they have, like on the outskirts of the park?
Yeah, definitely.
I love those. I when you're on a road trip, you're heading out to one of those places. I feel like once you hit that sign, you've almost made it. The cell service is going to start to drop out. You're almost at your lodge. That's when the real vacation begins.
I imagine that you have mini versions of all those signs just placed around your apartment.
So I do have a sign that I haven't been allowed to put above my bed that says National Park Border, which are real signs that they have of borders of national parks. And a friend of mine who worked for the Park Service gave that to me. So it's actually stashed away in my closet right now. But I should put it up here in the podcast studio.
Yeah, it would look good in that studio.
But those iconic signs, that's where everybody gets out. They take pictures. And it turns out that there is a font that is the same at every national park on those signs.
I didn't know that.
To be honest, I didn't know it either. But it is, now that I think about it, it's this very distinct lettering, because on those signs, they are actually carved in all capital letters. And it turns out that this font was it was dictated by the carving method that the national park use at their sign shop.
Oh, see, I would have imagined it was like Teddy Roosevelt's personal handwriting that they used.
Have you ever seen that page? There's a page in his journal where it was the day that his mother and his first wife died on the same day in the same house, and he said, "The light of my life is out," and then he just put an X on the page.
I have not seen that.
I didn't want to bring the podcast, down, but
so
it's not sort of a buoyant, happy vacation handwriting at that moment.
No, well, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking more of the fun, adventurous sort of Teddy.
Okay, now the amazing thing about this national parks font is that it's not been available for you and me to download and use in our own personal designs.
I've noticed that. I don't have any national park designed emails that I've ever sent or social graphics.
Well, that period of your life is now coming to an end because there's a designer out there. His name's Jeremy Shellhorn. And Jeremy Shellhorn worked in residence at the Rocky Mountain National Park in 2013. So he was seeing this typeface around. And he, who is now a professor of design at the University of Kansas, said, you know what? Bring the national park typeface online. You can download it for free. Everyone can use the national park font.
Is this public domain?
Public domain. We will link to it in the show notes. Go get the national park font for yourself. I've already written out Kiernan National Park. Welcome to Kiernan P. Schmidt National Park, the Kiernan Schmidt lands, Schmidt Nation. You can just have a hell of a time with this.
I think we should do some out-of-office graphics with this font. I think this is going to be a must-do.
It's a great idea. And what I also like is they give it away for free, but they say to you, you know what? Why don't you kick a few bucks to the National Park Service in support of this font?
Yeah, and since the government doesn't always pay for the national parks, they need those few bucks.
No, I think font sales, and in 2019, that's going to be their primary income.
Yes.
Yeah, well, also our incoming Secretary of the Interior is going to find a way to milk oil out of every tree and stone in the National Park Service.
It's just a dumpster fire that will actually be the Secretary of Interior.
I mean, dumpster fires will be a step up from the shit-flowing latrines that featured during the shutdown. But Ryan, no more time for fooling. It is time, I think, for the luggage throwdown.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
All right, Ryan. Well, first, as part of the luggage throwdown, each of us designing our own ideal piece of luggage. I just want to set some table stakes that I think we can agree on. That I think you and I just don't. We agree. This is must-haves for any good piece of luggage.
Right.
The first is lightweight, of course.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to lug a heavy piece of luggage around. That's not helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's called luggage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you want it to be lightweight. You don't want it to add extra poundage for when you're just trying to slip under that weight limit for the airline. And so lightweight, light material, absolute must. Durability. Absolute must,
You
right?
want it to last.
Yeah, we want to. I mean, what's your average turnaround for suitcases? Do you know?
A couple years at least.
Yeah, I'd say I get 4 to 5 years out of most of my suitcase purchases.
Yeah, my last suitcase, I got a good 5 years before in an airport, the wheels just stopped moving.
Yeah. Do you think that's why there's always suitcase stores in airports?
It must be. And I've also
who else would do that?
I've also had the handle not come up, stop moving up, and that's a pain. Yeah.
Yes,
So yeah,
having it stuck in the up position is no good.
Who is buying a suitcase in the airport and then transferring all of their stuff from one suitcase to another? Somebody's doing that. Or
Well, I'll
else
tell you what's interesting though is some of those suitcase shops they will repack it for you.
I don't know that I want that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't love when people go through all my stuff, but
Yeah, I don't want Mary Sue going through my suitcase. I don't know about you, but I don't want that. That's not something I want. The TSA does that enough for me.
I feel like anytime you make up a woman's name, it's always two names and it's like Southern. It's like, oh, when Peggy Patricia comes over, it's like, why is that her name?
I'm a Delta man, so I'm flying into Atlanta a lot. There's a lot of
Okay, and then finally, of course, price is no object.
for this exercise.
For me in real life, but for you, price is generally not considered. But
Right.
yeah, I would say for today we are looking for the ideal piece. So let's just say price no object.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right, Ryan. Category 1, body, hard body, like my own, or soft body, like some other podcast hosts I know.
Don't make fun of Dan Carlin. He's a very handsome man. He's a great podcast host.
All right, so hard body versus soft body. I think they both have their advantages. What side of this divide do you fall down on?
There is no contest. Hard body all the way.
I completely disagree. Okay, why? Why hard body all the way?
2 reasons. The first is that it definitely protects your everything inside better than the soft body. And second, you can sit on it when you're delayed or if you're stuck somewhere. It becomes like a de facto little seat that you can just sort of relax on.
Okay, those are idiotic reasons.
What?
Here's why. Because 90% of what you're packing is clothing, which doesn't need like an exterior hard shell, like turtle steel protection. Those are meant to be compacted. And then, secondly, where are you stuck? Every train station, every plane airport. I always call it a plane station. Why do I do that?
I don't
Every
know.
airport, they've all got copious benches and chairs. And if they've run out of them, you don't want to just plop down on your suitcase. Go to an empty part of the terminal and take a seat.
I am constantly plopping down on my suitcase all over the place, waiting for the Uber, waiting for the train. I am just sitting down on that suitcase, and I'm getting a lot of wear and tear on it that way, probably.
Yeah.
But
I mean, how lazy are you?
pretty.
No. For me, it's all about the soft body. And this is because you can pack nice and tight. Because your only limit is how far that fabric will pull, how far that zipper can hold.
And that's why I like a hard body case that has one of those zippers that expands in case you need to do a little, fit a little more in that suitcase. So you expand it a bit, and you're still protecting. And I'm traveling with. Maybe I'm flying home with a bottle of wine. Maybe I've got some lovely souvenir that is packed in there and needs to not break.
Yeah.
So I need that hard body. I'm not convinced by your. I guess, are you using it as a pillow? And you're what do you need a soft body for?
What I like is the give. I also like that if you're trying to fit it in an overhead compartment. Unlike your expandable hard body, the soft, you can squish that baby in no matter how small the space. You just have to have the will and the muscle.
So this speaks to the second feature, and whether it's a carry-on size or a checked bag size. And I think that you and I fall on different sides here, because I always check my bag almost religiously.
Real? Is that right?
I'm never one of those people putting something in the overhead compartment. I don't think I've ever put anything in the overhead compartment. That is not my world.
Okay, so I do understand the appeal of the checked bag. You can pack everything that you want.
The number one appeal with the check bag, far and away, is that you can pack just your regular facial care and bath products.
Oh, God.
And you don't have to make everything mini like it's a little Monopoly, shampoo or Monopoly, face lotion. I mean,
Ryan, I'm looking at your face. I'm not sure what these special tinctures are that you're using, but let me tell you, you could leave them at home. It would be just fine.
I like to maintain my skincare regimen, and I can't do that if I am carrying on my bag. So I am definitely checking, so I don't have to put everything in those little teaspoon things.
All right, here are some options for you. You could just buy smaller versions that fit the standards, put them in a clear bag, take them out in security.
I'm not buying my face products at Rite Aid where everything comes in travel size. This isn't like, this isn't Suave face lotion. This is the difference between a gay man and a straight man here, folks. Is he thinks that I'm buying some mass-produced product to put on this face. Totally untrue. Not putting that in no.
All right, I am willing to let go my regular moisturizer, my regular liquid soap, in order to bring it carry-on. Now, the one drawback to carry-on, of course, is that if you have a bad seat assignment on the plane, you sit there just worrying that they're going to be out of carry-on space by the time that you get on. And if you've strategically packed your book and your book light and your clipboard and your earphones and all the things that you travel with, I don't know if you travel with a clipboard. I travel with several to keep us on schedule.
Of course.
If that gets taken away to you and you have to gate check it, that is a nightmare because you hardly have the time to unpack before you get shoved into your seat. So I am all about a well-packed carry-on, and I can do up to 11 days in a carry-on.
I think you're talking about a personal item. You're talking about a laptop bag. That has my book in it. That has my reading light. That has my Ativan. It has everything I need for a trip.
Well, so we're going to have to do a follow-up just about personal item etiquette and packing because I use that personal item. I maximize it to the fullest. So I have a backpack that is practically a carry-on of its own, but I can shove it under any seat.
So what you're really discussing here is a WOW airline problem because when you fly like a regular airline, it's you can check your bag. You don't have to worry about them running out of not letting you on the plane with a carry-on. I know that WOW probably charges you like Spirit does, like 10 cents a shoe. They charge you extra if you're wearing a hat. I mean, so I feel your pain there, but for folks like who get a free check bag, there's no benefit to just not checking the
No,
bag.
but
Forget it.
there's still a limit to carry-on space. There's a limit to overhead space. You know that. If you are in the back of the plane or anywhere in that bottom third, you may not be able to bring the bag on.
No, I think. Look, if you're going to be sitting if you're flying a Sprint Air and you're in the very last row where they're going to sit you right by the toilet, you might not have that check bag. They're going to gate check it, and gate checking is the worst because it's all the negatives of checking your bag with none of the positives of carrying on your bag. You've got to lug it all around, and then they still take it away.
Except it is free. Often, many airlines that charge you for a check bag will do gate check for free.
Well, they would have to. Can you imagine if they said, "Sorry, you can't bring this on"?
Sure, but it's just another great cost-saving way to pack on a carry-on. And then oftentimes they'll say, listen, full flight, we're going to run out of overhead space. Anyone who's willing, come up, we'll gate check for free. And I've done that from time to time. And then, of course, there is saving time on the other side so that you can just get straight to exploring, straight onto your agenda, and you don't have to worry about collecting your checked bag and the fear that it's been lost.
That is the biggest. That is the biggest win for me for carrying on a bag, and that would be that you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And I've waited sometimes an incredibly long time. Although, like Delta promises 30 minutes, it's never really 30 minutes. But yeah, no, I feel you on that. And there have been many times where I've regretted, like, why did I check that? If it's like a 2-night trip, I could have just carried it on.
For sure. Yeah, I can't believe you check for a 2-night trip. That's ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
So far, just having it up on the big board here, you've got a hard body checked bag.
Thank you.
Whereas I have a beautiful little delicate soft carry-on. And I will say, folks, this was not pre-planned. This is genuinely our differences. We're going to come up, though, I think, on something we feel similarly about. Ryan, for our third feature debate, would you like 2 wheels, 4 wheels, or would you like no wheels?
So in researching this podcast, I actually noticed that there are some kind of newer, fancy suitcases that have these really big 2 wheels.
Yeah. Yes.
But in general, I'm a standard issue kind of two sets of wheels guy.
So you don't mind the small wheels?
No, I don't mind those at all. No.
Okay, so I have had some bad experiences with the small wheels. I'm a person who, like, if my hotel is a 40-minute walk from the airport, I will do that walk. I will not take the taxi.
Right.
And so I put those wheels through a lot of wear and tear. Cobblestone, brick sidewalks, up and down curbs. And those little wheels, they do wear out. They develop sounds and scratches. They get caught. So I like 2 big wheels.
I've had the same situation. I remember once my bus. I took a bus from I remember once I took a bus from Brussels to Ghent, and they dropped me off in the middle of nowhere. And I looked on my phone, and I'm like, okay, it's a 30-minute walk. I don't see any way to get an Uber. It was nighttime. It was sort of not a pretty night. And I walked, and while I was walking, a pebble got stuck in one of my wheels.
Oh, nightmare.
And it was I was like, and it was like nobody around, and it was like a John Cleese character. I'm totally really angry at my bag. I know that I have like another 2 weeks left of this trip. I'm like, how can I get this out? Finally, I had to like literally carry this big piece of luggage. 25 minutes down the road.
Checked bag. And yet, it says a lot for your ability to learn that you're still here saying, I would like 2 wheels, extra small, please.
Well, now that I've looked at some of these fancier ones, these big wheels do have the benefit of not, being able to actually kind of not get stuck if you're going down a road with some rocks in them.
I mean, big wheels keep on turning. And, the trade-off with big wheels that I do want to acknowledge is that when you have bigger wheels on a suitcase, you inherently get less capacity in the suitcase because those wheels take up a part of the frame that usually cuts into the suitcase storage area.
Do the big wheels let you do a 360 spin? like
the four wheels do.
Yeah, I like the
No,
360 spin
no,
too.
no. Two
Yeah.
wheels definitely has slightly limited mobility, but
Yeah.
it's interesting that we were both attracted to that. I personally do not like. I like being able to carry the bag directly behind me, which is
Right.
actually easier on two wheels. Whereas four wheels, it's got to be by your side, and I feel like in narrow places that can get very irritating.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I kind of feel like a guy holding the leash of a froofy dog when I do that, when I'm like wheeling those four wheels. I don't know. It makes me feel froofy poodly, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's the only thing I really like about the four wheel though is getting to do that 360 when because I feel like I'm almost like a
Yes.
figure skater.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little doing a little axle as I
They're
board.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
They're very beautiful.
Maybe I'm changing my mind. Maybe I'm going to go four wheels.
I don't know. I think that are you a four wheel? Have we actually changed your mind?
I'm just thinking about all the times I've been in an airport with the four wheelers, and I've enjoyed kind of like doing my graceful.
All right.
Yeah.
You're a four wheel man.
Yeah,
You've got
maybe I'm a four-wheel man.
Okay, so now you're up to a checked hard body froofy poodle four wheels, where I've got a soft, small carry on with two big wheels. I mean, these are like monster truck wheels. All right. For the fourth feature, Ryan, this one I have you're not going to believe my take on this one. Handles. Now, for me, the question is the number of handles that you want on your suitcase. So tell me about your handle situation.
So I don't see how you could want more than two, one on the top and one on the side. That
Yeah.
seems like plenty of handles. Like any more handle than that, you're basically carrying around a handle storage facility. Not a piece of luggage.
A bunch of handles with a little compartment attached. Now, it may surprise you, but on my little carry-on, I want 3 to 4 handles. Okay.
Where are these handles going?
Okay, so I got a handle on the top, which
Right. Normal.
so you can pull it along.
Yeah.
You got a handle on each side, so that no matter what side, whatever side it comes out on, if you checked it, if it rolls down, you can grab it without even trying.
Or if you have a body in there, somebody can help you carry it.
Yeah,
It's really heavy.
exactly.
Yeah,
You can if you have something super heavy, buddy up. And then a fourth, and now this is something that I was highly skeptical of, but I have a wonderful suitcase. It's from REI. It's called the Wheelie Beast. They don't make it anymore. In fact, they stopped making it. I like it so much, I went back to buy another one like 6 months later just to have a backup. No longer make the Wheelie Beast. But what the Wheelie Beast has is it has on the very center of your suitcase body, it has a big old handle right there. Now, it is ugly as sin. It's like if somebody had a foot growing out of their chest. But that handle, you would be shocked how many times you put your suitcase down, it comes out at a weird angle, you can just grab that sucker, haul it right off. You see other people, ooh, they're dropping their bags all over the place. No, 3, 4 handles, that baby's never fallen to the ground.
Is it only one on one side of the center or on both sides?
No, just on one side.
So it doesn't seem like I can imagine 50% of the time then it's not
I mean,
helpful.
listen, if you're trying to convince me to have more handles, I think you can tell that that's going to be a winning argument. I am all about the handles.
I think that we might see this trend of a 6 or 6 to 8 handle piece of luggage.
The only problem is at some point the weight that all these extra handles is going to add is going to kill our lightweight requirement up top.
That's true. Well, I'm not the one I want 2 handles like a normal person. I'm totally fine with 2 handles on my luggage.
Personally, I also like a girthy handle. I like a thick handle that's really going to feel secure in my hand. I don't like just a thin little strap handle.
I'm with you. Something that feels really attached, like it's not going anywhere. That works for me.
All right, great. All right, now for the next feature, this one has become very controversial in the recent years, which is, do you want one of these smart suitcases that comes with a built-in battery so you can charge your iPhone or your book light, or are you good with no battery?
I am 100% battery. Why would you not want to have a USB charger with you everywhere you go? I would have one installed in my body if such a thing existed.
Okay, so here is why I vote no battery. The first is you're going to have to remember to charge that battery before you leave. Yet another thing on your to-do list when you're, scrambling to pack up. Or did you really need, oh God, now you can't move the suitcase around your house because it has to be next to an outlet, so you got to charge it up.
It's like, honey, where's the suitcase? Oh, they're plugged in.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
I mean,
weird.
that is
Yeah.
hugely inconvenient. The second is, I've got external batteries for my phones now. So those are in my carry-on already. They're in my personal item. I find it, I find that I just don't need an extra battery because I like to have those batteries in
You
my pocket anyway.
those batteries die. They are also not charged. You know that sometimes the USB on your flight is not going to work. And there's nothing worse than landing in some foreign country and not being able to find not being able to find a plug to plug up your phone so you can figure out where you're going. I know that you've printed everything out, but for normal folks who are just using
You
their
don't have your
phones,
converter.
yeah, no, I mean,
No,
so
these are fair points, but I would
yeah.
say pack a backup independent battery that you can have in your backpack anyway. You don't need it in your suitcase. But the real reason, the number one reason that you don't want a suitcase with a battery in it is that right now airlines are making you remove that battery if you're bringing it in the cabin.
Oh, because it's sort of like an e-cigarette; it might explode at any
Exactly. It's
moment.
like those
Yeah,
laptop batteries that they're worrying about. So
right.
a lot of these companies that came out with smart suitcases have actually gone under because they put all of their money onto these features that were powered by these batteries.
Right.
And then they made additions that can pop out the battery easily. But honestly, I just think that this is unnecessary trouble.
By
For
the way,
me, no battery.
what a grand term to use for a suitcase that has a battery, a smart suitcase.
Now,
I have a smart socket in my house. It's got a USB in it.
I dream of a smart suitcase that could like follow me, that I don't have to pull, that can just like wheel itself behind me.
They make those.
Like a little
I've seen them.
R2D2.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, the technology's not quite there yet, but I'm
Well, you talked
excited
about
for the
walking
day
a
it
dainty.
is.
You talked about walking a dainty dog. When I've
Yes.
seen people in airports with their
Trailed.
suitcase
Yeah.
trailing them,
Yeah.
it never looks like they feel good about it. They're constantly looking behind them. They're like, "Where's my suitcase?"
Yeah.
They don't feel comfortable because clearly they
Right,
know that it
right,
could
right.
bump into a newsstand and
Yeah,
who
and be
knows?
lost forever.
Yeah, or it'd be funny if someone could hack it and have it just go away from them.
All this roll. But I think in our time we will see many more suitcases doing that.
Yeah.
I predict in 20, 30 years, all our suitcases, these 2-wheel, 4-wheel debates, they're all going to be either gyroscopically guided on 2 wheels or on 4 wheels following behind us.
No, I think they're more going to be like those Boston Robotics creatures you see with 4 legs. They're going to be horrifying. Yeah.
That is horrifying.
Yeah, and they're going to have a USB plug. Trust me.
Oh my God, the idea of being stuck on a plane surrounded by those things. Okay, so for you, you're sticking with battery.
Yeah.
I'm going no battery, Mr. Old School. All right, now for the next feature, this is something that is also featured on a lot of smart suitcases, but I am actually for this feature, which is a GPS tracker.
Yeah, what's the downside of this? I'm 100% with you. GPS tracker seems like the way to go.
I see no downside for it, and I'm actually surprised by how few suitcases are featuring this these days.
I noticed that when I was doing some research on suitcases, Toomey has some kind of like number system where every single suitcase is a specific number and it's like tied to an owner. So if that suitcase is stolen, but it's like, it's like somebody with a spreadsheet or something. It doesn't seem very advanced.
It's in beta.
Yeah.
They're figuring out. I don't think Toomey is known for their smart
But
suitcases.
look, if I had a $1,500 suitcase, I would want more than just, some numbers on it to assure me.
Call Jeremy. We need his password to get into the laptop to find your Excel number. I think the GPS tracker is great. I think it's a great way to keep airlines honest when you are having lost luggage issues. You can say, listen, I see that this got on a plane that is different than the plane that you're telling me. You're telling me it's going to be at my hotel in Paris in 2 hours. I can see it's in Istanbul, so that's very unlikely.
And I mean, these days, a lot of the flight apps will tell you when your suitcase has been loaded onto the plane. Like Delta, when my suitcase gets loaded, I get a push notification that says your suitcase has been loaded onto flight 987.
Yeah. I love that.
So that's super nice, and it also says like your suitcase is about to arrive. On bag check 7. So it's very helpful. So you feel confident that your suitcase is going to be there.
That's interesting. What airline was it that you get those notifications on?
Delta does it.
That's really good.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
Luggage tracker.
Yeah, Wow Airline must still be working on that. Okay, now for the next feature, sometimes these suitcases come down. When you just look at what people bring on. I feel like there are those who prefer a pattern or a bright color so that their suitcase is instantly recognizable. Or there are those travelers that like kind of a suave, sophisticated look. That basically, say to people, I'm a man about town, woman about
Yeah.
town, and I'm wondering what kind of look do you like? Bright color or sophisticated suave?
So I don't think that I think that that's a false choice. I think that you
Mm.
can have a very nice bright blue that is also sophisticated and suave. I don't think that necessarily.
Sort of
I mean,
like a Smurf blue. I think I find the Smurfs to be very sophisticated.
well, I don't know that I would say a Smurf blue. More of like a darker oceany blue.
Oh,
But
my.
it still pops. And imagine, because it's a hard case, and I like it shiny. So
Mm.
it really, you can see it. You can see it as it comes down. Yeah, so that's the way that I would go. I've seen suitcases that have people's faces on them. I've
Ugh,
seen
ugh.
suitcases that have like an incredible amount of writing, like it looks like the Ten Commandments has come down. So I'm opposed to all that. But I do,
Actually, a suitcase with the Ten Commandments on it would do really well in America.
yeah, that's
Wow.
in the shape of one of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, you get a few of those in the Des Moines airport. Oh my God, they'll be flying off the shelves.
flying off the shelves. Yeah.
Um, Perfect for toting around a golden calf. That's a could be. I like a bright color. I understand what you're saying. For what it's worth, suave, sophisticated, as you might have picked up on my suitcase that's completely covered in handles.
Right.
Suave, sophisticated is not at the top of my important list. It sounds to me like you still, even if you want a rich, interesting color, you still want it to look pretty neat, pretty city.
If there was such a thing as a mid-century modern suitcase, and believe me, I Googled.
Wait, I can hear people unsubscribing. I mean, right. I'm so sorry that he said that, everybody.
But that would be what I like, with a nice bright color, but still very sleek and sophisticated.
See, now I am much more for the utility. So I like a bright color that I'm going to be able to spot in a crowd, and I don't mind if it looks a little country. I don't mind if it looks like it's meant more for the backpacker crowd. If it looks more kind of outdoorsy and less ready to be taken into the Four Seasons.
Yeah, you most definitely, when you travel, I'm just imagining Inspector Gadget. Like that's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, I mean,
even
that's-
with the big trench coat, it's got the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I take that as a great compliment. I think that is very much my approach to preparing for a trip.
Yeah.
Is what are all the contingencies I'm going to need, and what is all the gear I need, and how can I package it up in a way that is practical as opposed to beautiful.
Although he would be super pro USB charger. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I think most of his body was USB chargers. So for me, a little less sophisticated. I like a color, not big on pattern. For you like a richer color that is shiny on your hard body. You must love that I keep saying that about your hard body. Hard body suitcase, folks. That you want is super suave.
Super suave. Exactly.
All right, now we're coming down to the last. We've developed quite different suitcases at this point. This one, I'm wondering, do you like a suitcase that has dividers inside it, compartments, or do you like a big open body?
I absolutely want a divider so I can put all my personal and bath items and my extra books and everything on one side of the suitcase, and the other side, my clothes. So 100% divider. I also like a couple secret little compartments so I can, put an extra credit card in there just in case
What are you,
something
a
happens.
magician? You need secret compartments? This is ridiculous. You're talking about building walls across your suitcase. Personally, I'm a liberal. I don't believe in walls. I believe in bridges. I like a big, empty body that I can coordinate in any way that I need to.
That's just chaos. You're inviting chaos without internal compartments. It's really outrageous. It's an outrageous suggestion. I don't even think they make these suitcases. I mean, you're just talking about a box, essentially, at that point.
You are one step away from saying, the things that I pack are drug dealers, they're rapists, and some I assume are good items.
Yeah. Wheels and walls, they both work. That's what Donald tells us.
No, Ryan, I believe in packing cubes if you want to create organization within a bigger body.
Cubes? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
you can buy these fabric cubes that help you. You have a cube that you pack your little. It's like a little suitcase within a suitcase. You put your underwear in one, and your socks in another, and your underwear, and your good shirts, and your bad shirts, and it keeps everything nice and organized. But you can have the flexibility within the bigger single body. You don't have to worry about all the walls that you want to build.
The one thing I don't like is the convertible ones because I feel like those always break or you lose one of the buttons. You know what I'm talking about? Where they have you can like take in or out compartments.
No,
I think that's a total
no.
failure.
We
A
can
good
agree on
permanent-
that.
A good permanent divider between your personal items and your clothes is what any sensible person wants when they're packing.
Now, Ryan, how about the outside of your suitcase? Compartments, pockets. What exactly are you looking for? Or would you prefer, none of those outside doohickeys? Let's put it all in the bag.
So, you know what? In general, I am opposed to having any outside compartment. But if there was something sort of tasteful on the back that didn't interrupt the sort of smooth, hard body of the of the luggage,
Yeah.
I would be fine with that. But it would have to be tasteful, and I'd have to really approve that part of the design.
I see. So it would be like a hard body that maybe has just a little something that you can kind of tip out, like a little compartment,
Yeah.
put your passport, keys, something simple in there.
Yeah, that would be it. It would be on the back side, not the front. It would be on
okay.
the back. Yeah.
What I like is I like when a bag has in the back the very deep pocket that is the length of the back. And that's a good place to put magazines, books, your clipboard, and all of the paperwork that you've prepared so that you can keep to your agenda. And I find it means right when you wheel into a hotel, you can unzip that, reach right in. You've got your hotel reservation on paper so they know that it's real, much more believable than if it's on a cell phone. And you don't have to go rummaging through your personal item or your backpack. It's right there in your suitcase.
I think the first time you use that, it would immediately get all like bent out of shape, and it would look terrible the second time. And I know that you don't care because you got 45 handles on your. But for somebody who's going for sleek and sophisticated, I don't want like a big droopy little envelope on the back of my suitcase.
Yeah.
It would have to be pretty.
So where do you put your reading material for in flight? You put all that in your personal item.
Yeah, I put all that in my personal item. I've got a novel and I've got a magazine.
I mean, I guess because you're always checking a like 40 by 10 trunk. I mean,
I would travel with a trunk. I might even start to
for what
consider
it's
that.
worth, I think that the travel trunk should come back. Absolutely, I would love a piece of luggage that I have to put a leather belt around.
Totally.
That tells me it's secure.
When they finish that Titanic, the rebuilding the Titanic.
Yeah.
When they finish that, I'm definitely going on that with a trunk. I'm not taking. I am going to do that in period outfit and trunk. It's going to be fantastic.
All right, now Ryan, we have come to the end of the formal characteristics and features that we're looking for in our ideal bag. But I'm wondering whether you ever have had a dream feature, something that you've never seen out there in the field, but that you feel like would make your perfect bag.
Yeah, I'm gonna say what I would really like to have in my bag would be a headphone jack, so you could listen to Spotify, you could connect it to podcast. Just because sometimes your phone dies and you're sitting there and you're totally bored.
Wait,
and what
but
can you
haven't
do?
you checked your bag?
Well, I've got it. No, I mean this is when I'm waiting for. This is when I'm walking. The 40 minutes to my hotel, and again when it's pouring down rain and my phone's dying.
So
and I'm-
you're saying, I mean, you basically want your suitcase to be a simple laptop. I mean,
Well,
you're
this is
bringing,
where
you
we're
got a
going.
battery, you got a
Yeah.
GPS, you got an earphone
Yeah.
jack. Do you want it to like project a feature film on the side of the airport so that you could
well,
watch?
If it had a little screen that had a map, that would not be a terrible thing, would it?
Oh,
Would
you're
it?
so tech forward. I mean, I don't consider myself, a Luddite, but for me, I want something very simple. The dream feature that I could have used so many times is a little fold-out cup holder. I've always wanted a cup holder on my carry-on suitcase because I can't tell you how many times I've been, getting on an Amtrak to New York, and I've got my roller in one bag, and I got my little business briefcase in the other hand, and then I've got my ticket like in my teeth, and I've got a coffee, and I
Right.
can't show the ticket because it's in my mouth, and I'm holding coffee, and I can't tip the coffee because it's gonna go all over the place. If I could just fold out a little cup holder, put it right on my carry-on, that would be an ideal situation. And then once I'm on the transportation, that drink is waiting right there for me.
So I have to tell you that as somebody who uses a hard case, I often sit my coffee or my beverage, my adult beverage, on the suitcase with no problems whatsoever.
I really
So
feel like you are overselling the utility of these hard cases. You're claiming it's like a seat that, like, one night you couldn't get a hotel, so you took a nap on it. That suddenly you're like, oh, yeah, I had a 4-course dinner served to me on top of it when the restaurant ran out of the room. I think this is all bullshit. I do not think that you have been resting coffees on those hard cases.
you have been with me at Penn Station when I've sat my massive Dunkin' Donuts coffee on my hard case, and it had no issues.
I
So,
think that it has no stability up there. For the stability you need a
No way.
built-in cup holder. So just to review, our competing perfect bags. I've got a soft body carry-on, 2 wheels, nice big wheels, get you over those curves. It's completely enveloped in handles. Anywhere you grab, there is a handle. We got no battery because I'm not going to worry about that. Absolutely a GPS tracker. I want a bright color, but it doesn't have to be suave and sophisticated. I'm not taking this thing to the Harvard Club. I want a big compartment that I can cram with absolutely everything I can get in there. I want a pocket on the back to hold my agenda and all my printouts, and a fold-out cup holder. Now, Ryan, you've got a hard body checked bag. Switch to 4 wheels.
4 wheels.
So you can do the Froofy Poodle walk. You've only got 2 handles. I don't know how you're ever getting that thing off one of the belts. You've got a battery, so you're going to have to worry about getting out that battery before you put it on a flight. You've got the GPS tracker. There we agree. You've got a super suave bag. It's shiny, dark color, very eye-catching. It says, now this is a man who knows what he's about. You've got 1 or 2 dividers, permanent dividers. They're not any of those removable dividers. And maybe 1 simple small pocket on the exterior. And then finally, you want it to also be every piece of technology that you can dream of.
I want to be able to record this podcast from the airport on that bag.
Well, unless that audience builds, I'm not sure that that's going to be a dire need, Ryan. Well, I will say those are 2 quite different, but I would like to own both those bags, honestly. You've convinced me on a few places that I haven't fully thought through. I've actually thought you've made a decent case for the hard body, because I do know those hard bodies do have a little more give than some people realize. So maybe the handles, or I don't know, the bright color, the fold-out cup holder, none of these things have grabbed you?
You made me go from 2 wheels to 4 wheels, but that was me moving further away from your. Because that doesn't.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, I think we should end by each recommending a great suitcase that is actually out there. That, unfortunately, neither of us could find one that exactly delivers the promise of our brilliant suitcases. And we would love a luggage company to reach out to us. We would happily consult to make one of these dreams come true.
Yeah, there are so many beautiful to me cases that do not have any of these technical features that I want, but definitely have the style, the aesthetic, the interior compartment, the hard case. So I think a nice to me, if someone's looking to get me a gift, there are a handful of these sort of beautiful to me bags that I think would really work.
For me, I'm going to recommend the LL Bean Roller Duffel.
LL Bean.
Yeah, LL Bean. Those things last. Talk about durability.
You could pick any suitcase that you wanted, and you went with LL Bean.
Listen, I'm a simple man, okay? Simple man, man of the people. I'm sticking with the Bean. They last forever. It's got a lot of the features that I've talked about. But yeah, truth be told, the aesthetics are not the most important thing. Whereas your beautiful Toomey bag, that might be for somebody who's a little more, Men's Journal subscriber.
I'm flying to Paris, and you're flying to Orlando.
For what it's worth, I have occasionally walked into a pretty chic hotel and I've been embarrassed by my luggage. So I can't say that I have never been embarrassed by it, but for me, the utility is much more important than the aesthetic quality.
And I will tell you that I have missed a flight because I got there too late to check my bag, and I had to wait with my bag for another
Oh
flight.
my
So I
God.
think I can end it there.
Your enormous bag that you could pack a hippo in prevented you from getting on a flight. That
It's true.
is shocking. Well, I think that that says it to everybody out there that maybe one of us has slightly better ideas.
I think with that, it's time for the last stop.
The last stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave the train.
All right, Ryan. For our many new listeners, the last stop is the final segment of the show. You might, if you're a clever listener, you would have picked up on that in the name last. And Ryan and I each take a turn where we talk about something that we're reading or eating or thinking about or smelling or experiencing that keeps that spirit of wanderlust alive within us even during the workaday week. So, Ryan, what's your last stop?
So I was recently in Detroit for Creating Change, which is a fantastic LGBT advocacy conference. And I had a free day, and I had never been to the Detroit Institute of Arts.
Oh, it's the best.
It was so fantastic, I have to say. And, I mean, they have like a collection of over 60,000 works, and it feels like every single one of them is on display because it's just so massive.
It's slightly smaller than my own personal collection. Yes.
Yeah, just a tad. But they do have this really exciting work by one of my favorite muralists.
Yeah. For the not new listeners, he's about to say the one artist that he talks about at least twice a show.
They had this fantastic, the Diego Rivera Detroit Industry, which is just you've seen it. It's basically
Yes. I used to go up to Detroit for work quite often. And I would peel away and go to the Detroit Institute of Arts because almost exclusively for this mural, it is so breathtaking.
And there were some lovely docents at the museum, and I had a long conversation with one about all the sort of hidden communist imagery in the mural. So obviously he was painting this at the request of one of the Ford brothers, right? So he couldn't really get away with his usual Lenin in every single frame. So he has like some very subtle stuff. One of my favorites is there's a guy holding what appears to be a hammer, and he's got this tattoo of a red star, and that was one of his sort of like hidden messages that, hey, I'm still the
pretty subtle.
It's super subtle. Yeah.
I mean, what's extraordinary about it that I really remember is that I think what he was trying to capture, it's the full factory scene of sort of a car plant. And you get this extreme colorful imagery of flames, and it looks very hellish, like hell. I mean, it looks like an inferno. And the workers are sort of in these more faded grays and blues, and almost looked like these doomed souls.
Yeah, so the workers are sort of front and center, and they're in these, like you said, there's flames, there's some weird green light that's supposed to represent some sort of chemical they might have been exposed to, and then the executives are all sort of like in the corners in like their nice suits, and they're not exposed to any of these harsh elements of the actual factory. So he definitely gets his politics in there. So that is something to see, and it's in this. It's two murals on each side of this massive room, and then he's also taken sort of these other little places around the room and filled it with work as well. So it's super breathtaking, and it's really something that Detroit has this on display. And otherwise, the museum just has a ton of stuff, from like the Dutch masters to Andy Warhol. I mean, I spent 3 hours there, and I only did two of the 3 floors. So it's really, I highly recommend the DIA.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically where all the wealth that came into Detroit in the post-World War II era, that's a lot of it was poured into acquiring these beautiful art collections, and that has been saved. And I know when Detroit was going through its bankruptcy, people were very afraid that the museum collection was in danger. And thank God they did not break it up, and it is still there. Well worth the price of admission just for that Diego Rivera mural, but an absolute must do in Detroit.
Totally, and it is interesting because you're in Detroit, and the Detroit downtown has some really beautiful architecture. And I stayed sort of in a neighborhood 15 minutes out of downtown, so you do drive through just blocks and blocks of abandoned buildings and abandoned houses that have been boarded up, and then you arrive at this museum, and it's sort of this magical, beautiful. In itself, like a work of art. It's really something, and yeah, I'm anxious to get back to Detroit so I can do that third floor.
Yep. So, folks, go to Motown and get Mo Mural. Yeah, Detroit, you can have that for free. And of course, we will post many, many pictures this week of that wonderful mural on our Instagram at OOO Podcast, at Out of Office Podcast. You see, that's the O and the O and the O.
And I took a few pictures, and I could not capture. It's often hard to capture like a big work of art, but there's so much going on in these two big murals that we'll definitely post. But it is not like seeing it in person. There's just so many little scenes.
Focus in on some of those great details that the docents taught you.
That's true. And I will find us a good picture of the man with the tattoo.
I really want to see those sniveling executives. All right, Ryan. Well, my last stop this week, harking back to the start of the episode where we talked about the national park fonts that are now available. It made me remember that there is this absolutely incredible website resource that I revisited based on the font news. It's called National Park Maps. And it is solely maps that have been scanned and uploaded and organized by the different parks in the National Park Service. And what's interesting is, a lot of these parks websites, they're government websites. You have to go through a big procurement process to build those sites. And so they are not the best quality, and often
so it's like the healthcare site. They just don't always load.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're brutal. I mean, really, the web infrastructure of visiting the national parks is very poor.
They cost $6 million and they barely load.
Yeah,
love the government, folks.
And so what is really lacking online is it's very hard to find good, accurate maps of trails so that you can do that rich pre-planning process that I love to make people do before they go on trips.
Right.
And so interestingly, there was a national park ranger who noticed this problem and knew he couldn't solve it through the park system itself and started this website, npmaps.com. And it is exactly what you think it is. And I find it, it really feeds my wanderlust because it is so comprehensive. Years and years of work of scanning extremely high quality maps. And, sometimes I used to, before I went to a park, buy a little hiking guide to try to find the best routes for me. And I'd blow $10 on a little route guide of like Rocky Mountain National Park. This website gets rid of all the need for that. And I would buy them because I couldn't do that planning on the websites. But now I have the maps that you can get in the park. So absolutely, we'll put it in the show notes, but npmaps.com, an essential resource if you're looking at any of the national park properties.
And do you print these maps out in advance and you bring them all with you on the clipboard, or?
So often I will do screenshots on my phone.
Okay.
I have not gone, mostly because the size that they require to be printed out is beyond my printing capabilities.
I could see you going to Kinko's and having them print out like a massive map, like almost like, you would look like a
personal
plan.
item, like one of those poster tubes.
Roll it up and put it in one of the handles of your suitcase.
Well, the other beauty of it is most of these are maps that you can get for free at the welcome station or from rangers. And so you can do your pre-study and then pick it up when you go to the park.
Great. Well, that actually sounds super useful, and when I'm planning my hiking trip this spring, I'm gonna go check out mpmaps.org.
So Ryan, next week we've got an exciting interview that you did.
Yeah, I'm going to speak with Matt Long from landlopers.com, and he has been a travel blogger and travel photographer for about 10 years and has visited so many countries. I'm incredibly jealous. And we're going to unpack sort of how he got into such a cool job and sort of some of his favorite spots and interesting things that he's seen. So check that out next week.
I'm desperate to learn how you make a living at that.
Me too.
Well, until then,
I'm Ryan Davis.
and I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
But weirdly also a Diego Rivera podcast by default.
That's a pretty good niche for us, though.
This seat taken.